Yo guys, what's up? It's Viper here, and well, today I kind of want to talk about the Master Tour that was like recent weekend. How do you go into that? What's like the preparation for this, especially like in this time? I've made multiple like videos and talks, and people ask me on stream about like competing and what decks to play and all, and so on and so on and so on. There's one general pattern. I'm just gonna like TLDR at the beginning again, and yeah, then let's talk specifically about this Master Tour current meta game, because yeah, I mean, not much is going to change until Dark Moon. There's still a ladder finish coming up. You don't really get anything for the ladder finish as far as I know at the moment, but I mean, it's still prestige, right? Like who doesn't want to finish top 110, top 100, or I don't know, maybe you're grinding for your 11-star bonus and this might still be helpful for you as well. Or you just want to get legend, right? I mean, all of us wanted to get legend at some point. So let's start with the general tournament thing. How do I put this the best? The thing in Hearthstone is you don't really focus on yourself at the beginning of preparing for something. You focus on everybody else, because the game is so good in countering everything essentially. There is a counter play to literally every deck in the game, every playstyle in the game. It is a lot less at the moment compared to what it was 1 year, 2 years before. Because, I don't know, just state of the game at the moment. I don't want to talk about that. It's probably like another 20-minute video. But yeah, there's less extreme counters to things in general outside of Bomb Warrior. So first thing to realize, if you play Bomb Warrior, you will probably lose to people playing 8 sticky finger lineups. Charlotte just qualified for World Championship with that. People are going to net deck that. They're going to play that lineup. Just soft targeting Warrior, also very reliable strategy, because just putting 1 or 2 sticky fingers in some of your decks is also very good with Demon Hunter. And honestly, everybody in this tournament is expected to play Demon Hunter. It is very difficult to justify not having Demon Hunter in your lineup. Very few bad matchups. And the one bad matchup is Druid, but Druid is just not a good deck anymore after it got nerfed. So the first realization, right, people gonna play the sticky finger stuff. What does that mean? Don't play Warrior. Demon Hunter, it's not that strong against it, but it's still good enough of a deck. It's not gonna go 0-3 against that lineup, and your other decks are very favored, so you basically have 3 shots with Demon Hunter, which usually means you win. So that is like all about the target thing, by the way. Usually this list is so much longer of decks you can play, you cannot play. What are other people going to play? Well, what are other people going to play? We already realized Demon Hunter. Literally everybody plays Demon Hunter. Most people play Priest. I think those are the 2 big ones. Then there's kind of an unknown one, how many people are going to play Paladin, Tempo Mage, and Rogue. And Rogue is somewhat split it into Secret and Galakrond Rogue at this point. Galakrond Rogue didn't pop off in the GM playoffs, even though we were essentially at literally the same patch. I mean, Tempo Mage was better back then, but didn't really change like what Rogue archetype people play or what Rogue archetype is better. Reason for people not playing Galakrond Rogue in GM, I think a couple of people did test it, including myself, but just didn't feel confident enough in playing instead of Secret Rogue. For myself back then, decision was Bomb Warrior or the Rogue deck at all. I decided to just play Bomb Warrior because I didn't think people played the counter lineup, and they didn't, so I made it. In hindsight, people always love hindsight in Hearthstone. I made the good decision, made the good read. But no, let's not talk hindsight. There should have been Galakrond Rogues instead of Secret Rogues, but the people playing Rogue really like Secret Rogue, and they didn't want to play a different deck. Also, there was very little time, and changing up decks with so much RNG is always the easy word to say. Variance is another easy word to say. You just need to practice and test decks a lot more, because the matchups are very, very swingy and weird. It's not like Hadronox Druid versus Cube Warlock 2018, where it was like, if the Warlock doesn't have the Mountain Giant Doomguard opening, the Druid just wins late game. And that was like the story of the matchup, and you could very easily figure out how likely is it for the Warlock to kill the Druid before they get to the late game, right? And things like that. Now it's way more difficult to figure out how the actual percent of matchups are, It's way more difficult to figure out how impactful tech cards are. So the game is like way more of a min-max thing, where you do all the cookie cutter things. The cookie cutter things don't cut you enough cookies anymore. They don't give you insane advantages. But figuring out the small advantages is the very, very difficult thing. And that's where we get to the next part of like, I mean, you guys already see these decks, right? Like, why did I end up with these decks? Essentially, Tempo Mage got nerfed. The Prime is now a 9-mana card, and Evocation is a 2-mana card. I, in fact, lost one game in this tournament because Evocation was 2 mana, not 1 mana. There was one game where it made a difference, and it wasn't like, I mean, it probably was the difference between winning or losing, but 10,000 other things also happened in that game. My Evocation could have not given me good spells, even at 1 mana, and so on and so on. So it's not like a strict win-lose difference. It's like, it would have been better, and it would have been relevantly better in that game, sure. That's like the one game where it might not have had an impact. So the changes are not that big, honestly. Yeah, you didn't really need to prime on 7, or you didn't even have a prime on 7 a lot of the times. And you play this on turn 2, and then it gets shuffled in your deck. Usually you didn't draw the card by turn 7. And you can still make the prime cheaper with primordial studies, holding onto them for later. That's probably one of the kind of like tricks you can do, that you hold onto your spell power minions if you think you need the prime, or you like in general hold onto the reduced cards a little longer than you did before. But yeah, very, very small thing, cookie cutter thing, but that's what Hearthstone is all about at this point. It's just cookie cutter. It's just getting the small advantages, making the small different plays, honestly. Another thing in Priest. So this is about the Priest list most people play nowadays. Most gems play, honestly. I've seen lots and lots of people not running Twilight Drakes in this tournament, especially. It is so wrong to not play Twilight Drake in this deck. You can cut to 1 Twilight Drake if you want to fit other tech cards, like let's say a Mind Render or a 3rd Cabal card. I still like 2 6-mana Cabals, honestly. Maybe having 1 4, 1 6 is like good in an open decklist format, because your opponent has to be afraid of the 4-mana one if they just play out a 5-drop. Like, they have 1 single 5-drop in play, they have to be afraid of 4-mana Cabal. But if I place 2 6, they don't have to be afraid of that. That's the upside of open decklist. But I just like the consistency of this card, and I didn't really know what else to cut. I don't want to cut Lazur, I really like that card. I feel like it helps in the mirror as well. And yeah, you could cut 1 Shadow of Death, but if there wouldn't be as much Secret Rogue, but more Galakrond Rogue, or if it's like a known, if we know how much Secret, how much Galakrond Rogue, might cut a Shadow of Death, honestly, but it's just such a game changer to have it versus Rogue, and sometimes to have it versus Mage, because Mana Giant. Like, if they get an early Mana Giant and you don't have Shadow of Death, they can also just all in on it. They can turn 4, turn 5, all in, playing a Mana Giant, emptying their hand, and that 1 Mana Giant can carry them. But then you have the Shadow of Death in your deck, and because of Cleric of Scales, you kind of have access to it, even if it's only a 1-off. So yeah, back to the Twilight Drake thing. Play 1 or 2 Twilight Drakes, completely broken card in this deck because of Draconic Studies. You cheat out Twilight Drake, and people have to trade into your Twilight Drake because you play Priest, you have a hero power that snowballs if your minions trade, you have something like Apotheosis, so you're not going to lose going face, and your deck literally has infinite value. So yeah, Twilight Drake, very, very good card, people have to respect it, very strong. Let's go to Galakrond Rogue. Let's first make a cut and like why these 4 decks in the end. I've mentioned before that everybody plays Priest Demon Hunter. Why Tempo Mage Rogue? Tempo Mage Rogue are, especially Galakrond Rogue, are like the most consistent decks in which I actually can have high rolls that are super unfair and make for no games, right? Mage can just draw Sorcerer's Apprentice, Shenvala, play 6 spells, the game ends. Or, you know, Mage just does unfair stuff sometimes, so you have a certain amount of you win the game, but you also have a certain amount of, you actually have to play smart. You have to play really smart with Mage, and you can outplay a lot of things. You can punish a lot of decisions by your opponents, and you actually get into a game. Where it's like your opponent can play around freeze, burn, removal, value, tempo, whatever. But you know your cards in hand, you know how to play with them, and most of the time I feel like I'm better capable of figuring out what is my opponent doing, what do they have in their hand, what's their next move, and I can kind of like anticipate and counter their moves with Tempo Mage well. I like this deck. I think it's still a good deck, and it a lot of the times helps me to capitalize on actually being the better player. And this is not supposed to sound arrogant, but it's about like a 350 people tournament. People qualify with 50-55% win rates in Open Cups, and I'm a Grandmaster. I play better than the average player in that tournament, so I should play decks that utilize that as well. That's why a lot of people, even in GM, had a discussion of do they even want to play Druid before the nerfs? Because Druid did not give you any advantage skill-wise, player-wise, ever. Druid is basically playing no games because at a high level of the game, well, the Druid player that doesn't draw Overgrowth into Guardians kind of lost the game. The guy that did draw that kind of won the game, and whatever the opponent did didn't matter too much. So that's why a lot of people refrained or didn't want to play Druid. It kind of still ended up, most of them still ended up playing Druid a couple months ago because it was too powerful. But the consideration to not play it and to rather play a deck that can utilize you being the better player was very much there for everybody. And that's still a big point of for me. It didn't work out this Master Tour, but let's not talk about that. No, I don't know. Can hindsight talk about Master Tour like a minute at the end? And Galakrond Rogue is similar like that, because Galakrond Rogue, again, it just gives you the opportunity to interact with your opponent, and it still has this high-roll stuff of drawing the strong 0 mana cards. You have the combo of Lawkeeper plus the Wand, so you draw all your top-end cards as 0 mana cards. And in general, Lawkeeper for Galakrond 2, like drawing Krong's Talk or something. That is, if you Lawkeeper into your Galakrond, it is more powerful. It's not more powerful, but it is close to as powerful as the old Galakrond that reduced everything to 0. As long as it's not turn 7. If it's turn 8, 9, 10, it's like same power level again. If not even better, honestly. So yeah, that's a big Galakrond Rogue it's actually just a consistent deck. It is a good deck. It is surprisingly good versus all the Hunter decks because you just start contesting them early on, and Backstab is a hell of a card. So yeah, don't underestimate Galakrond Rogue. It's a fun deck. I really like it. I'm kind of happy it is somewhat back in the game. Because similar to Galakrond Rogue has a lot less RNG stuff than Tempo Mage, but it still is a deck that interacts with the opponent. Like you actually both play a game most of the time. And that is, I like that. And yeah, Demon Hunter, well, the TLDR of Demon Hunter, everybody plays 28 cards the same. Almost everybody plays a Consume Magic as 29th card. And then the card number 30 is a Horde Pillager, a Penflinger, or a Magteridon for most people. Magteridon not much anymore because Druids are gone. Neither Horde Pillager nor I hate Penflinger, I don't think it's a good card. The Horde Pillager is an okay card, but it's an okay card. I was thinking long and lots about what's actually a 30th card that's good. And I think Maiev is the best. I think Maiev is really good in a Demon Hunter mirror, because the Demon Hunter mirror gets decided, not always, but most of the time it gets decided by who's ahead on board, who develops a 5-drop, whose 5-drop actually hits the other guy's face. Because if one 5-drop connects to the face, one of these two, the game kind of ends because the guy took too much damage, has to play from behind. And if you have to play from behind in the matchup where both players just go face, then you're not the one that's going face. You're the one that's clearing minions while the other guy's still going to your face. And you don't have infinite healing, so you lose the game most of the time. Maiev can actually swing that. Glavebond Adepts, you always want to play your Glavebond Adepts, your opponent's Glavebond Adepts. You always want to use your Blade Dances to kill the Soul Shards, or your combo Soul Shears. Plus the Shard Shatters, right? Those were your removal tools for the 5-drops. But now you have another one that doesn't only remove, but also develop a minion. And this is kind of like a double freeze, right? It is a double freeze in this matchup. You double freeze Lapidari, it's gone for 2 turns. The game probably ends, right? And oftentimes the game ends within 2 turns with Demon Hunter because you deal 15 damage, 20 damage over 2 turns. That is what the deck does. So yeah, I think I like Maiev in the mirror. I like Maiev versus Apotheosis and Priest. It's like double freeze Apotheosis minion. That is great. You can actually ignore the fact that they have Apotheosis sometimes. That's another sad story from the Master Tour where it's like, I can ignore them having Apotheosis, and they had it, and it's okay. I could ignore it, but then they had they had the second one, but that's I guess kind of like short story from Master Tour. like why I feel like the choices were good and why I'm making this video and explaining, but it didn't work out. So playing against Priest has played one Apotheosis already, and I'm like, okay, well, he could have a second one or not, but I have my Yef to counter it. Go face, second Apotheosis, okay, my Yef the minion, go face again, leave his setup, literally no outs for the Priest left, has two created by cards in hand of Cephek, so actually completely random Priest spells, has a third Apotheosis. I was like, oh, damn, I was right. And yeah, those are like the things that can happen, because decks don't play 2 copies, decks play more than 2 copies of a lot of cards. So don't be afraid of, that's like general thing, don't be afraid of playing around cards. Maybe they have the random card, most of the time they don't have it. So another thing with my F, by the way, you make a minion dormant, and then 2 turns in the future you Blade Dance the board down, because most of the time your Blade Dance doesn't get full value. So those are the decks, and I play these decks because I think they are the best decks to play in Conquest. They're the most powerful decks overall, and they help me utilize being a good player in this game. Now, let's talk hindsight about the Master Tour. Honestly, there's not too much to hindsight talk. Rogue was my best deck, was my most consistent deck, kind of just got a win, very few losses. Priest, I think there were like 2 Priest mirrors. I lost, I essentially lost 2 Priest mirrors because I had the worst created by cards, / I didn't have Cabal draw ever. And yeah, I don't know, like, the mirrors of these decks are really bad, honestly, because they don't only get decided by who plays better, who draws better, but they also get decided by who gets better random cards. And Priest mirror, there's lots of skill to it, but if both players are not like, if both players somewhat know how to play, then it's kind of the random card thing. And it was a crazy game. It's like, my opponent plays an Isera, as one example, plays Isera. I don't have Steel combo, only have Morosond. And I go Morosond, and then let's say the game goes on, some Soul Mirrors happen, some more Morosonds happen, some Steel things happen, and like 4 turns, 5 turns in the future, I don't know, we both have 6 Isera cards in hand, but I have some minions and my opponent has the tempo spells, so I die. Like, I couldn't do much. And essentially it is a very bad play of my opponent to play the Isera, but well, he got rewarded for that. So those are like things that happened. That's kind of sad. It's like the thing, you put yourself in advantageous positions and you lose, but it's okay. Like I'm gonna review my games. Like today's Sunday when I'm recording this. I think either on Sunday or Monday, I'm gonna review my games. I'm trying to figure out like where did my losses happen? Where can I improve? Because yeah, I kind of just want to improve. That's all I care about. I only care about self-improvement. If one game goes bad, one series goes back, whatever. I can only figure out what I can do better for the next time. And Tempo Mage, yeah, the same thing. I don't know. There were like 2 primes I played, and 2 primes were negative for me. Like the 9-mana prime was actually just negative for me. And 1 York box had to be a Twisting Never, and it just did nothing again. So Tempo Mage performed bad for me, but it performed bad because 2 primes and the York box did nothing. Or not nothing, they did negative things. They would have done good. I would have ended at 7-2 actually, because those were 3 game 5s I lost. Yeah, it's actually true, right? I lost 3 game 5s. No, I lost 2 game 5s with Tempo Mage and 1 with Priest in like spots where I was favored. So it happens. I can just go back and figure out what I could have done better. And yeah, that's just my goal for the next few days, honestly. I'm gonna like take the tournament in, improve, and try to figure out what can I do better for the next time. Because that's what the game is about. The game is about, like I said at the beginning, this cookie cutting kind of stuff. Try to figure out 1 better tech card, 2 better tech cards, and then try to adapt for it in-game, because that's what you can do. That's what you could always do. And yeah, just play clean Hearthstone. Playing clean Hearthstone, don't make mistakes, is kind of huge. So this video ended up being a lot longer than I intended, but yeah, a lot of like small side stories and things involved. So I hope you guys didn't mind that. And yeah, I don't know, that's like the story of Master Tour lineup, some small explanations. If you guys wanna see more or something like that, let me know. I can probably make another video on this channel. You can also always go to my stream or whatever, and I can answer your questions. I'm usually there almost every day, and I'm happy to talk about this game as much as I can. So see ya, guys.
I got goals to chase. I got roads to pave. Not yet where I wanna be, but I got close today. I went ghost today. I got least to say. I be focused on these dreams like I didn't sleep today.